Good afternoon all. Today we will be discussing about the advances in remote sensing techniques such as multispectral or hyperspectral and the spectroscopic analysis for the mineral exploration. I am Richa Sharma. I am scientist in Geosciences department, and we are here to do the things for my research area is the hyperspectral remote sensing, and I'm also doing the spectroscopic analysis for the materials, different materials, specialization for the mineral exploration using different spectroradiometers as well as the remote sensing techniques. So, as when we are talking about the exploration in geology, it is very time taking and tedious task, the classical geological mapping and the mineral exploration techniques. So, using the remote sensing technique with the limited human observation, we can play an important role for the mineral exploration. Definitely, we have to take care of the field validation and all. But yes, wherever the area is very heterogeneous or where it is very complicated, we can use this remote sensing techniques for the mineral exploration, for zero down the areas or some sub areas, and we can use it. Now, how this remote sensing techniques are helpful? So there are a number of guides traditionally we use for the exploration, such as lithological guide, structural guide, geomorphological guide, geobotanical guides and all. So using these remote sensing techniques, how we can explore each one of that guide like lithology or structure or geomorphology, we'll see in the succeeding slides. First, we are discussing about the structural slides. So all the different structures like folds, faults, we can see using the remote sensing data, and they are useful in the study of ore deposits associated with the fractures or any ore deposit which are dominated by the structural or structurally dominated ores. Those can be seen or find out using the remote sensing data. As we are able to find out different structures using remote sensing data, especially the multispectral for the huge area, and when we want to do the detail analysis, we use the very high resolution multispectral data or very high resolution spectral data such as the hyperspectral data for that. So we can localize or locate the extension of faulted ore bodies and fold and domal structures. They also help in deciphering some sources of oil or underground waters that will be useful as the structural guide using the RS datasets. Now when we are talking about lithological guide, using the aerial photography or the satellite imagery, different kinds of lithology, different types of lithology can be identified very properly, clearly. I will give you the example also in the further slides so that we are able to see the different lithology. Some minerals, some materials are very much dominant in a particular type of lithology. So if I am or we are able to identify that particular lithology in the area, that lithology can act as the host for the ore, and then we can further go ahead for the mineral exploration for the detail analysis, and the mineral exploration can be done. It also permits us the identification of the alteration zones which acts as the local guides, and these altered zones generally they exhibit a typical type of color, maybe a lighter tone or depending upon the scattering of the material in that area. Now, there are advanced techniques like the band ratios and principal component analysis, minimum noise fraction, some independent component analysis also. Those techniques can be used as we use for the identification of the alteration zones, and at the end we will be able to know about the minerals. Now, when we are talking about the multispectral for the geology, there are different types of ratios available for the iron oxides, clay minerals and all. I am giving you the band numbers over here for the Landsat TM dataset, like band number 3/1 for iron, clay minerals band number 5/7, then ferrous mineral it is 5/4, and then using different compositions we can have a mineral composite. When we are talking about FCC or a false color composite, we give different color gun to a particular band, for example red color to infrared or like that. So when I am doing it for the mineral composite, I can calculate three ratios, for example 5/7, 5/4 and 3/1, and I have assigned the RGB color gun to these three bands respectively. So at the result I am getting a colorful image which highlights, like 5 by 7 is in red color here. So these 5 by 7 red color, this mineral composite, it is highlighting clay minerals in red color. Then your ferrous minerals in green color and iron oxides in the blue color. Similarly, we can give another ratios, we can assign another band ratios to the same RGB color gun, and like that we have got the different color images in which the different materials, different minerals present in the area were highlighted. Now this is just an example like what we do using the asteroid analysis for the lithological discrimination. This study was done in the Umra region of Rajasthan. Now over here we can see this the ESTA data set. It is like our main aim was to study the spectral characteristics of the material, but to do the reconnaissance surveys, to do the to study the overall area, we have to use a remote sensing data which will give us the broader view. So we have used the ESTA data over here, and we have highlighted the features using the bend ratios and the principal component analysis techniques. And this images what we have produced on the scale of 1:150,000, and we have done the field investigations also. And after doing the field investigation as well as the remote sensing analysis, we have identified 6 locations, and we have checked over there all these 6 locations, and out of those 6, 4 were verified, and we have found the mineral signatures in that area. You can see over here, this is the ratio image. This was the boundary of our area, the green color one, and you can see the location marked in red color 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So these are the areas were showing the anomalous behavior and anomalies in this area, and so we have identified these 4 areas as the possible areas for the mineralization, and out of these we have got different kind of malachitization were there, geochemical anomalies were there. So different anomalies we have found during the field, and then out of these 6 areas, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5 and 4, these areas were identified as these areas were zeroed in for the further investigation. Now there were another technique what we called as the PCA. So I just wanted to explain you over here how do we define the bend ratio and we do the principal component analysis. So just have a look of this picture. In this, there are spectrum plotted like illite, kaolinite, montmorillonite, hematite and goethite like this. There are different spectras, and these 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 what you can see are the bend. So these bends are basically on this wavelength, say this 0.4 to 0.5, then another one bend number 2, like this. Along this wavelength ranges, these bands are available. As when we are dealing with the multispectral data, the multispectral bands are discrete, they are not contiguous. So because of that, we have gap in between, as these bands are acting in the atmospheric windows. So there's the effect of atmosphere is minimum in our satellite data. So these are the bands, band number 1, 2, 3, 4 and all. Now if I want to do something, some investigation for the iron. So when we are doing any spectroscopic analysis, any spectral analysis of any material, we are more concerned about the spectral depth or spectral absorption of the material than the high reflectance. See, if you observe over here, the illite has got high reflectance in many bands, but the absorption is over here at this point around 1.4 wavelength and at this point around 2.2. So if I want to study critically about a particular material which has got the absorption at 1.4 and 2.2, then I will be able to identify and name that mineral. So what do I have to do? I have to see the absorption, the typical absorption feature or the characteristic absorption feature of a particular material more cautiously, and I have to define the ratio in such a way that the high reflectance of that material and the characteristic absorption feature of that material which is covering by a particular band will be at the denominator. So for illite or kaolinite or montmorillonite, as all these have the absorption at band number 6, so if I will do 4 by 6, all my 3 materials, illite, kaolinite and montmorillonite. These three will be highlighted. Okay, now why we are getting all three at by one ratio? Because the bandwidth is very broad. So if I have got a little shift in this absorption over here at band number 6, it won't be easily identifiable. So what do I have to do? I have to, for further advancement in the mineral exploration, the need is I want to have the bands which has got the very narrow spectral bandwidth, so that the subtle variation in a particular mineral, because of the presence of the ions in that, or the crystal structure or the crystal lattice, are getting highlighted. So what do I have to do? I have to choose those bands very carefully according to the diagnostic absorptions, and I have to define or choose a data set which has got very narrow spectral bandwidth. So in such a way, this is another example which we have done the PCA over here. So what I was telling you, we have to choose the bands which has got higher spectral resolution. So the remote sensing are playing role in three ways: mapping lithology, fault, fractures that localize ore deposit. This purpose is easily I was able to solve using the multispectral data. Second, to recognize the hydrothermally altered rocks by their spectral signatures. At some level, I was able to do it using the multispectral data also. But when I am talking about the directly mapping of the mineralogy or mineral abundance, this is possible only using the narrow spectral bandwidth data, that is your hyperspectral imaging. So that's why the hyperspectral imaging comes into the picture, and it is very much important and critical to identify the material directly from the image. Now what exactly this hyperspectral remote sensing is? So it is basically the science of acquiring digital imagery of the earth material in many narrow spectral, contiguous spectral bands. It is also known as imaging spectroscopy or spectrometry. Why? Because as I have got a spectroradiometer with me and I am pointing it towards a particular material and I am able to generate a spectrum, the similar kind of spectrum I will be able to generate using the image of or a particular pixel of an image, and though that spectra I am generating from the image is easily comparable with the spectra I am generating from the spectrometer at the lab or at the field. That's why all the spectrometric analysis what I am able to do in the lab, I am able to do the similar analysis using the image spectra. That's why this is known as the imaging spectrometry. Okay, it differs from the conventional remote sensing as it is covering it in many narrow spectral bands, so that a particular absorption feature will also be able to identify, whereas the conventional remote sensing looks at the several broadly defined spectral region, whereas here it is very narrow. Now let's see some case studies. As I was telling you that I am doing this at the southeastern parts of Rajasthan using the Hyperion. So when we are talking about the hyperspectral data set, we have this Hyperion we have launched in early 2000, and after that gradually we are growing with the new data sets, and now recently launched the Prisma data is also there, that is also can be used, and the IIRS data set, the airborne data. IIRS is throughout the time since 90s it is available, and using these data sets the hyperspectral imaging is possible, and because of that we are able to do the identification. Now let's see this. I am just telling you the steps, how do you follow it. So basically you have to see the data sets. Initially the data set will be like this. It has got some column drop or line drop or so. You just have to average them out and you have to get a good image which is free from the radiometric errors. Then you have to do the atmospheric corrections, as I am interested in the spectra, and my spectra is plotted in between the reflectance on the y-axis and wavelength on the x-axis. Now here it is the radiance. I want a reflectance spectra, and I have to remove the effect of atmosphere also. So atmospheric corrections also I have to do. TOA data, top of atmosphere data I want to have. So I am doing the atmospheric correction. There are different models available. They are based on Motran. Those models are available by default in the commercial softwares also, and those models will be used to do the atmospheric correction of the data set, and we will get a result finally. So like this is the result. This is my wavelength domain. This is just the example of typical example of a vegetation curve. You can see over here the absorption at green, and then after that the reflectance, very high reflectance at the IR region because of the presence of chlorophyll. So like this, the atmospheric correction will be performed. First, we have to remove the radiometric errors, the column drops, line drops, zero values, pixels that we have to average out. Then we have to do the atmospheric correction. Then we have to go for the different data reduction techniques. Now, when we are talking about the hyperspectral data, as the data is very huge, it has got around 400, 425, 200, 2000 bands, 200 bands. So because of that, the bandwidth is very narrow, so number of bands are more. So when we are doing, the computational burden is very high, and because of that, and redundancy is also there in the data. See, if any particular material is highlighted in band number say 3, and it is also getting highlighted in band number 4, so my purpose is solved if I use only 3. There is no use of using the band, all the bands all together again and again. It will increase my computational time, and each and everything, the redundancy will be so high and the data size will be so high that it will be difficult for me to compute everything from the data set. So what will I do? I will perform different data reduction techniques. Now these data reduction techniques, what are they doing? Basically, they are just reducing the segregating the noise in the data set, and the maximum information present in the data, they are just compressing it, or we are able to getting the maximum info in initial say 10, 15, 20 or a number of bands. That depends on the data itself. So we will be getting the initial bands, and then we just have to process, we just have to go ahead with those initial bands, and then we have to do the further identification of the material, training sites, the particular spectrum for the pure pixels, and those will be used for the classification, and finally we will get the classified or the mapped image. So in this, this is the example. In this, the data reduction technique I have used is minimum noise fraction. In this, first the noise present in the data will be minimized, and then we have done the changing, like the principal component analysis, the changing will be done. It will be just reformed, and finally the feature space of change to the wavelength domain to your PCA principal components, and the first PC or the first minimum noise fraction, the first component will have the maximum values and maximum variance, highly uncorrelated data, and gradually when you go, the correlation will increase and the data will be noisy. So what do we want for extract the information? Maximum variance and less correlation. So in this, the number of bands were around 200 or so. Initial 15-14 bands were chosen. Sorry, initial 14 bands were chosen, and you can see over here, just by seeing the data set also, it has got some information, and this information values or content is gradually decreasing and noise is increasing. See over here in band number 20, it is completely noisy. Typical salt and pepper appearance we are able to see. Band number 15 is also noisy, and see band 10 onwards, the noise is increasing. So we are using the first 14 bands to do the further processing. Now the next procedure comes the pixel purity index. What we do, we plot this in the iterative mode of n number of times. The number of iteration we defined, say 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 or so. So in between the two bands, the scatter plot will be plotted, and in between the two bands, how many times a particular pixel has appeared as the pure pixel is noted. So over here, if this pixel is appearing bright, if you can follow my cursor, this patch is appearing bright. No, it means the pixels over here are appeared as the pure pixel number of times. Because of that, they are appearing bright. And if over here you see these pixels over here are completely dark, it means the pixels present, the location of the pixel present over here, they are not pure. That's why they have not recorded as the pure pixel even once by the algorithm. So when we run this PPI, we have got a one band image in which the white pixels are the pure pixels, the white pixel are the location of the pure pixel, and black pixels are the locations of the impure pixels. So for further processing, I have to take care of these white pixels only. Now, and after that we have got such kind of a classified image. You can see over here, these are the minerals, these are the classified image we will be able to see. These are the spectra of a particular mineral. You can see the goethite spectra. Because of the presence of goethite, we are getting a spectral dip at around 0.9 because of this Fe2 plus and 3 plus ion. So like this, different dolomite at around 2.2 because of the clays over here at around 2.2. So like this, because of the presence of dolomite or CO3 at 2.3, we will be getting the dip. So like this, different dips because of the presence of different crystal structure and different chemical composition, the dips are typical and particular of a particular wavelength. So when I am in search of iron, I will see the initial spectral length, the VNIR region only, because the presence of 2 plus, Fe2 plus or 3 plus is there at around 0.9. When I am in search of some clays, so because of they have got Al, OH, MgOH and all, OH stretches there and water is also there. So I will get the absorption dips at 1.4 and 1.9 and at around 2.2. When I am in search of some carbonate CO3, the dip is typical or peculiar at around 2.3 because of the CO3. So the carbonates will give you a dip at 2.3. So like this, there are different materials, they are present in this spectral range, and the absorption dip at a particular wavelength region is diagnostic. So we will be searching for that. So like this, the spectroscopic analysis will be done for minerals, and we search those absorption dips in a particular at a particular wavelength, and we try to map them. Now this is another example I have written over here. Because of this Fe2 plus, this dip is there, you can see over here. Because of this Mg2 plus, this is there. Then CO3 at around 2.3, so it says about the dolomite. Now dolomite, we have got some Mg also, so we have got the dip over here also. So like this, different materials, different minerals and their dips are present over here at shown in this slide, and their absorption dips and their position is also marked. So like this, we have marked these many minerals, and out of from these many minerals we have got this much classified image. As you know that we are dealing more with the geology, so geology is not a land use land cover class, so you won't get the whole image as a full classified image, because the top surface of the remote sensing image is covered with the soil. There you can get the signature of the minerals, and your construction settlement, where you won't get anything about geology because the top surface is covered with construction material. Then your forestry will be there, then your agriculture will be there. So few pixels where you are getting the barren rocks, open area, fallow lands, there only you will be getting the spectral signature of the material or the minerals present in the area. Now this is another example of this Rampura Agucha area. These are the three dominant classes we will be getting. Then this is also the same area. Now you can see over here, this area, this white patch is the Rampura Agucha mine. This is a huge mine of lead and zinc. So here it is an open pit mine, around 1.4 kilometer is the this pit length, and you can see over here this dominantly some magenta color. You can see this is it shows the presence of pyrrhotite. So why this pyrrhotite is present over here? Because it is associated with the sphalerite, galenite, pyrite and all these minerals, and as the secondary product. So this secondary product, it is also available as the mine tailings and the dump areas and all. So those are picked up by the by our hyperspectral sensor, and those can be mapped and seen over here around the mines. Now these are the red part. You can see these hills here, the gosans are present, and these hematites, the presence of hematite in the gosan area, and it can be seen and shown by the red color over here. Now the another study done by Kusuma et al. In 2012, it is just the example of the use of hyperspectral data in that Savitri River basin, Maharashtra, using the Hyperion, EO1 Hyperion. And what have they done? They try to separate the aluminous laterite and the laterite from the bauxite, how these three classes can be easily classified using the hyperspectral data. So what have they done? They have used the Hyperion, and they use the algorithm is the linear mixture model, and they have observed that the mineral abundance estimated from the spectroscopy using the spectral analysis is very well matches with the estimations done by the XRD and geochemistry, done by the XRF and XRD things. So they have said that they said for their area they concluded that this it can be used for as the proxy for the conventional exploration procedures for the bauxites. They are able to separate in between the Fe laterite was more clearly, they are able to discriminate between the Fe laterite from the Al laterite, and the classification accuracy was very high in these bauxite, aluminum laterite and the laterite for these three classes. And you can see over here these are the classification done by authors. Now another paper is for Cruz et al. This area, this Nevada area, Northern Grapevine Mountains. This is a very famous test sites for all the hyperspectral sensors. So they have used different sensors from IIRS spectral line profiler, AIS system and IIRS data. If you see from here, this is from IIRS, this is from AIS system, and this is from the IIRS data. So they try to generate the spectrum of some material for a particular area of these three using these three sensors. And they said that they were able to identify the material, and the alteration were mapped in this area using the AIS system also. And they said that the field work, they have done the field work in the area, and they confirmed that the distribution of carbonates, you can see over here the calcite. I was telling you that because of the presence of CO3 you will have a spectral dip at 2.35. So over here around 2.3 through 2.33, because of the presence of Mg, there is a little shift towards the lower wavelength in the dolomite, whereas calcite will give it 2.35. So the fieldwork confirms all these things, and they were also able to set the multiple cerecite, muscovite end members and their distribution also. So they were able to map the altered material, they were able to map the carbonates and like this. So different types of classification, different types of minerals using the classification algorithms were able to perform, and they have also proved that this is also good for the identification of the minerals in the heterogeneous areas or the areas where we are not able to do the field work very thoroughly. Now this is the another example also by the Cruz, where you can see these are the different false color composite images of band number 31, 19 and 9. You can see at the description of the figure caption, it is written over there. And in this area they were able to identify the materials or minerals like hematite, goethite, kaolinite, dictite, alunite and all. And they also shows a good correspondence with the field spectral measurement they have done using the HD field spectroradiometers. So at our place also we are using the same, the SD field spectroradiometers over here. We have got a proper hyperspectral lab at our institute at IIRS. We have got 2 HD spectroradiometers and 1 FTIR spectroradiometer. So using these spectroradiometers we are able to generate the spectrum of any material from 0.35 micrometers to 16 micrometers. Now come back to our studies, our research areas, what we are doing over here. There was a joint campaign between ISRO and NASA for the IIRS-NG project. The IIRS-NG is new generation IIRS satellite. Initial the IIRS has got 10 nanometer spectral interval, and now with this new generation we have got 5 nanometer spectral interval. So I was the PI for the Rajasthan for the geological application. So these are the polygons you can see over here different. These polygons were used for the identification of the minerals present in that area. And we have these 6 blocks. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 6 blocks were imaged using the airborne sensor IIRS. This sensor, it was here from direct from the NASA JPL for few months for all these flights. And then it has captured the different areas. This results or this part what I was discussing with you is about only geological observations and only for the Rajasthan area where I was doing my research. Now these were the 6 blocks. We have done the in situ observations also, that the location of the in situ you can see. This was taken at the time of the flying only, when the sensor was flying on taking the observations from the sky. We were there in the field to take the readings using our own ASD spectroradiometers. Now at that time itself only 55 rock samples we were able to take during at the same time of the Everest flight, but afterwards also and before also we are doing these studies in that area. So around 600 or so samples we have done till now for the areas, and we are trying to develop the spectral library of the Indian rocks and minerals. Okay, so there were like you can see over, this is also a published paper of us. You can see over here, these are the methods. In this, the comparison of the different spectral mapping techniques were done. This is the standard FCC, you can see over here, and these are the classified maps of different using different classification algorithms such as SAM, spectral angle mapper, SFF, spectral feature fitting, MTMF is mixed tune match filtering. So we have done for a particular area. This study was done using the Jajpur area, Rajasthan, and in this the identification of the minerals were used done using different algorithms. I have already told you the names, SAM, SFF and MTMF, and I was able to identify total 13 end members out of it, and we grouped them into clay, iron and carbonates of like mineral faces. And these algorithms produce a diverse kind of mineral map, and these are compared with each other on the basis of mineral paragenesis and discrimination of mineralized region from the settlement. See, at some point the classification was done, but the materials or the mineral identified by the algorithm, it is mixing with the settlement present in that area. So we have seen that the MTMF, the mixed tune match filter, is the best algorithm found for our area, and it is giving us the best possible or most correct to the the result was the closest to the actual distribution, that we have also verified in the field. Okay, the another example of Everest NG in the Umra area, Rajasthan. In this area, what have we done? See, if you can see the encircled part over here, that is highlighted with the light green color over here, it has got this light green color. It is the this is open cast mine. This mine is known as the Matun mine. This is the mine of rock phosphate present in the area, and we during the field work, I went with the spectroradiometers and I have collected the spectra of different rock present over here, different percentage or different grades of ore, the rock body itself or the host rock and the ore body itself, different spectra from this region. And then afterwards I ran the classification algorithm, the spectral angle mapper algorithm for the whole data set. And what I found that I have collected the field data set from this area only, and I have done the classification for the whole on the whole image. What I found that similar to this area, these are some patches you can see over here also in the light green color. These were also appearing as the same rocks which I have collected from this area. It means I have collected a training sample or a training site from this area, and I want to identify the similar pixel or the similar material in overall image. So what I did, I ran the classification algorithm using the training sites collected from the field and then on the Everest data. And I have found these many more areas were also having the similar composition, the rock phosphate. So when I checked over there in the field after doing my pre-field analysis, when I went to the field again after a few months and checked it over there, I found that the areas which are also marked as the rock phosphates in this classified image were the areas they have done some querying for the rock phosphate itself, but the percentage is not that high that is economically viable. So these are just the queries, open queries available in the different parts of the surrounding areas, in the outskirts of the Udaipur, where also the percentage of the Yeah, those areas were also mined for the rock phosphate, but the percentage is not that high that is economic, so that they have not done the exploration further. But after some time, if we will be able to finish with that such high quality ore, then gradually we will come to that these kind of ores also. For example, if we are talking about iron, if 70% iron is available, I won't mine for the 40% iron, no. So what will I do? First I will finish all the 70%, and when I am not able to get iron, then I will go for the 50%, 60%, and then for the 40% or 30% also. So like this, different percentage or the concentration of the ore is also not very high. Right now it is not economic, but with the advancement in the technology, or when we are not able to get such high ores further, then we will definitely going to explore the ores which are having such percentage, such grades. So how I did this using the spectral angle mapper algorithm, and these are the spectras I have collected. So red color is for the USGS, black I have collected from the image, and blue I have collected from the field. So you can see it's very good correlation between all these spectras, the blue and this, and you can see this, the material jarosite is also there, and because of the weathering, the jarosite and goethite minerals are also present in the surroundings, and you can see the spectra are very well matching with the standard spectral library, and the very good match from the field as well as the image spectra. So this is the result what we are getting, and the classified images. So what I wanted to say over here is, like this we can get the similar, we can do the similar studies, we can perform the similar studies for the mineral exploration with such advanced hyperspectral processing techniques. We will we can go to the field for known areas, for the known mineralization, we can collect the spectrum of the area of the materials, and we can run the algorithm to the different images, so that we can know that those material or the mineral are also present in the surrounding areas or any other areas. So this is also one example of material talc, dolomite and calcite. I was also talking continuously about these materials. You can see over here the calcite, talc and dolomite. The dip is little, it is shifted towards the shorter wavelength when it is the Mg comes, like calcite is CaCO3 and dolomite is CMgCO3. So because of the presence of Mg, the Mg dip 2 plus it is at around 2.2. So because of that presence of Mg, the dip over here, the 2.3 dip, it is shifted little towards the lower wavelength, whereas it is calcite, it is around this point. So like this, there are different materials present. Now talc is also here. We have kept talc over here because it is present. This talc is over in this area. It is associated with the alteration or the with the dolomite and calcite. So like this, these are the materials present. Now these are the distribution of these materials in the image. You can see over here, these are the IIRS image, IIRS strips. You can see, let me show you the zoomed version if I kept, okay, it is here. Now you can see over here, this is the one of the very famous mines, Jamarkotra, in the area. The host rock is stromatolitic limestone in this area. Now when I have done the classification, it is highlighting the dolomite, the material, and then there are chlorides also present, and at some part very few pixels of calcites are there, and dolomites. So dolomites are dominantly present in the open cast area. You can see over here, because the host rock is the stromatolitic dolomite over here, and in this it is exposed around the mine, shows the presence of calcite and chloride. Calcite chloride very closely associated, so they may mix together, and chloride because of the alterations very less amount. The presence of dolomite in the mine area because of the stromatolitic dolomite is the host rock for the rock phosphate mineralization in this area. This is also very famous mine, Jamarkotra, and it is also situated around close to or outskirts of the Udaipur, in the southeastern area, southeast to the Udaipur, around 100 kilometers or so. So this is the another example. You can see over here a typical shape. This is a open cast mine of a calcite pink marble mine, Babarmal. The name of this mine is Babarmal. This mine, you can see over here, in the whole image, only this part it is highlighted as the calcite, and some the weathered portion or the outskirt of the mine where the dumps and all were available, the chloride, the altered material is also present. But clearly the whole mine is easily mapped using just the spectra of calcite. Then when we have got this classified map from the image, then we went to the field again and we verified that this is the mine, and then we got to know that this is a mine of a pink marble, and this mine is known as the Babar Mal. So we are able to identify the material using the absorption dip, and here the absorption dip is at 2.3. Okay, now next comes the generation of the spectral library or the spectroscopic analysis of the material. So as I have told you initially also that at our institute, at our place, we have got the different spectroradiometers. So I'm also taking care of the Hyperspectral lab at IIRS. So in our lab, we have got different instruments, ASD Field Spec Pro, then ASD Field Spec High-Res, and the FTIR spectroradiometers. So this ASD Field Spec Pro and ASD Field Spec High-Res, these spectroradiometers, they are operating in the range of 0.35 to 2.5 micrometers, whereas this FTIR spectroradiometers, it is the range of this up to in the thermal ranges also, it calculates the emissivity, captures the emissivity of the data, and the range of this instrument FTIR is from 2 to 16 micrometers. So the spectra of each samples were collected in VNIR and thermal range, and further we verify them with the geochemical analysis. So I'll just quickly show you how do we do the spectral library, how do we generate the spectral library. So this is just the example of sample location at 14.4 in our library. This is the format. So what we have done, we have just, these are the options like photo number, landmark, land use, land cover detail, geomorphology, and all these columns we have made. And during the identification of the material from the field as well as in the lab itself, we are marking and calculating the parameters, and we are writing it down over here. So these are the parameters I have marked at the sample location because these are the location details. Okay. So landmark description, for it is for the Mattoon area, Mattoon mine, for the rock phosphate. I have shown you the picture previously. So it is around 12 kilometers southeast of the Udaipur, and this on this connecting road, it is an open cast mine, and this is few exposed hill and all. This location or this stratigraphy, it belongs to the Delwara supergroup stratigraphically. Then lithology, it is rock phosphate ore, quartzite, phyllite mixed with the quartzite. These are the rocks exposed we have found over there when we went to the field. Then associated mineral is rock phosphate. And is it a type of mine or not? Yes, it is a mine, working open cast rock phosphate mine, and it is known, the name of the mine is Mattoon. Now let's go to the spectrum detail. So what have we done in the field also and at the lab also? Both the places we have done the spectrum analysis. So in the field at around 10:50 in the morning, we have done the collection, the rock phosphate ore as identified in the field. This is the spectrum ID, and the instrument used was this. Then there was another spectrum after some time we have done that. Then this was the quartzite from the mine waste as we have identified in the field. The spectrum ID is this one, and the instrument used was this. Now let me show you the pictures. So this is the location plot on the Google map, on the Iconos image, I think. Then this is the field photograph from at certain height we have captured this when we were going to the area. Then what have we done? This is the rock sample what we have collected, and we bought it at our lab, and this is the spectra what we have generated in the lab. Now this is the field photo of the sample. From this surface we have collected the spectrum what you are seeing in the next, this number B. So at this surface only I was pointing out the gun, and then I have collected the sample, collected the spectrum over here, and this was the spectrum detail. Then another area, this was the sample, and this is the spectrum. Now you can see over here there is a noise. It's visible over here at 1.9 and 1.4, which is not available or absent at the lab. So this 1.4 and 1.9 wavelength region, micrometer at 1.4 and 1.9, we have got the noise because of that water absorption band. These two bands are known as the water absorption bands. So when we are doing it in the sunlight, because of the presence of atmosphere, these two we will get. But when we are doing it in the artificial light, we won't be getting it. So these are the another examples also for other materials. This is also for the sample at field, spectrum, sample image at the field, and from this surface only we have generated the spectrum, and this was the spectra. So like this is also field sample, field spectra, sample at lab, and lab spectra. So like this, for each and every sample, for each and every mineral which we are encountering in the field, we are trying to generate the spectrum, and we are trying to do the make the spectral library of whole minerals present in the Indian scenario. Now the another examples you can see over here, these are the red is your spectral number, and the white one is the standard library, standard spectra what we have got. So when we are doing it, it's closely and very good match. It shows a very good match with the montmorillonite. So that's why we have given the name montmorillonite. Now here also it is very good match with kaolinite. You can see over here the double dip that is called as characteristic of kaolinite at 2.2. So this is also, this spectrum is identified or classified as the kaolinite, and this is hematite. Now if you see these two spectra, the red is collected by S. Okay, now this goethite FeOH, because of this Fe, I have already told you at 1.9 you will get a broad absorption dip, but it should not have any other thing if it is pure goethite. But in the field what we have observed that we are getting a doubly dip at 2.2 also. It means the surface what we are generating the spectrum, or the sample what we have collected, it has got mixture of two things. It has got the goethite as well as it has got the kaolinite. So because of the presence of kaolinite, this 2.2 is also present. Okay, so the spectrum over here, or this is, we called it as the goethite plus kaolinite. Now over here also, because of the presence of all these material, all these dips, it is also mixture of some clays. I am not able to classify the clay over here at this position. Here I am able to identify that it's kaolinite. That's why I have written goethite plus kaolinite. But here it is a mixture of many clay minerals. That's why I have written hematite. So it shows the presence of hematite at 0.9, and the dips at 1.4, 1.9 and 2.2. All these materials are showing me the presence of clay in that area. So the material, the surface what I have captured, or the sample what I have collected, is the mixture of iron and clays or the weathered material. It is not the pure mineral, and it may be because of the top surface where I have collected, because it is got weathered. So I am getting such mixtures. Okay, the another example I have already told you that we are also doing the spectral matching and the validation using the XRD analysis. So this is the malachite stains. In the quartzite you can see the green stains. These are the malachite stains present in that area. This is the spectra of malachite in the VNIR region, and this is the spectra in the thermal region. And we have done the XRD analysis also, and the XRD analysis, the peaks were also showing the percentage of, because of the material is quartzite, quartz and malachites also there, and at some parts the because of the kaolinite is also present, that is also shown over here. So like this, for each and every area, each and every sample where we want to generate the spectral library, whose spectral library is to be generated, we are collecting the information from the ground, collecting the sample at the ground, and at the surface where we are collecting the spectra, the spectrum is collecting from at the ground, and then we are bringing some part of the sample to the lab, we are collecting the spectra at the lab, and then we are generating the library in such a way that ground spectrum, ground photograph, ground spectrum, then lab photograph, lab spectrum, then the XRD analysis follows, and finally we conclude that the spectra what we are we were able to see over there at that particular point belongs to that particular mineral. So like this, we are trying to develop the library for India. Okay, so this is the last slide, or I should say the conclusion of the study says that the hyperspectral remote sensing or the high and multispectral remote sensing has got the strength to identify the material mineral using the remote sensing techniques, and the weakness, the problem using the hyperspectral or with the hyperspectral is the development of the new sensor and the engineering challenge because of that particular height the sensor is taking the images, and the presence of thick atmospheric column in between. The signal to noise ratio is not very high always, and because of that we won't get a good quality spectrum. If I am not able to get a good spectrum, then I won't be able to identify the material. And second thing for us, for geologists, is that the surface cover. If my area very the minerals is present, it has got good sufficient quantity of mineral, sufficient percentage of the mineral in that area, but if it is completely covered by settlement, I won't be able to get the signature of the surface in which I am interested in. Or if it is completely covered by forestry, I may get some signature of geobotanical. These signatures may act as the geobotanical guide. Geobotanical guidance means a particular species is not normal. It is showing you some anomaly because of the high percentage of some minerals present in the soil, and because of that the exceptional growth of particular species or some anomaly present. So if I am able to get that anomaly, even though I will be able to say or comment something about the subsurface mineralogy, but if at all I am not able to get the signature of the material or the surface, I won't be able to get it. Okay, so the limitation of remote sensing is good quality data and the surface exposure. Up to some limit, up to some extent, I will be able to know the subsurface information using the microwave data set. That must be covered in the previous lectures as by Dr. R.S. Chatterjee. So, using the combination of multispectral, hyperspectral and microwave and limited field observations, definitely we can do wonders, and we will be able to do good classification or identification of the minerals using these high-end techniques. So that's all for the lecture. Thank you so much.